In this video, I will demonstrate how to use the Mass Edit Student Schedule records in Vision SIS. To get to this item, you are going to go through the Scheduling menu, Operations, Mass Edit Student Schedule records. I'm going to set my school and my school year. I am going to minimize my side menu. So there are three types of mass edit records that you can do from this one location, and we can edit student course records, student alternate records, and study halls. There's a lot of similarity between all of the different operations, so I am just going to run some highlights of what you can do here to let you know. If you click on the blue book, you will get the knowledge base articles that go in detail on how to run the different mass editors. You can limit the students that will be processed by using the student range. Some of these options have the conditionally add or remove courses, replace courses, where depending on what they have, the conditional part will limit which students will receive the edits. Add courses is just a straight add. We're going to click on the add entry, and you'll see that when I do my drop-down list, if you have your schedule table built, you will be able to see the course sections, or we can give the student the request of a course, which means that we're not going to schedule them directly into a section. And you can add multiple entries if you need to. You can keep on adding entries. You can have quite a few entries here, more than 6. There is no limit. And then if you added something in error, you can remove it, and then you would click and process. Conditionally add and conditionally remove work very similar. So I'm going to take a look at conditional add, and we are going to click and add an entry. This is going to limit who is going to be processed. So we're going to limit our students that are going to be processed on a course that they have already been given as a request or scheduled into. So I'm going to drop down my list, and you'll see that we can select just the course code, and that will be for students that have this course as a request. We are going to give them another course. This option with the course number with the dash and an asterisk means that we are going to get all students that have course 101, whether they have it as a request or if they are scheduled into a specific section. Or we can do this for just students in a specific section of a course. The section option will only be there if you have your section table built. So with that selected, we would select our new courses, and that's going to be similar to what we saw with the add. Remove courses will remove a course from a student's schedule. Again, we will have the option of either removing the request, or in removing a specific section, or the asterisk option, which would be all courses, whether it's a request or a specific section. Conditionally remove works the same as conditionally add, with the exception that it's going to be removing the course that we select. Click, and we're going to select the original course, and then we'll select the course to remove. So this is just another way of filtering which students you want to process to remove that request from. And then replace courses is a combination of an add and a remove at the same time. The original course, you're going to have those three options: the request, all instances of that course, and then a specific course section. And then you can replace it with just the course request or a specific section. One thing to say about adding courses is that this operation will not check for conflicts or overloads. The operation will not allow the same course to a student's schedule more than once. So duplicate entries won't happen. It will allow an overload as well as possible conflicts. When you are removing courses, this operation will not drop any course sections in which even one student has a grade or a skills grade recorded. This operation will not drop any section when a section's term starting date is equal to or earlier than the current date. Because the operation will not drop any course or courses that has already begun or has already finished, it will not assign a section exit date. Let's take a look at our alternates. Again, we have our student range, and we have 4 different options here. We have add alternates, and again, we will click on the plus sign, and just like we saw with adding courses, we are going to select the course that we want to add an alternate for, and you'll notice that we are only able to select those courses that have been flagged in the course catalog to allow alternates. We'll only add alternates to courses that have not been scheduled yet. Because you can only use alternates to replace a course request that the student could not get scheduled into a section for, we don't have the option here to add an alternate to a course, a specific course section. The student is already in that section. So if I choose for all students, because my student range is intact, for all students that have a request of course 118, we are going to give them an alternate. Now, an alternate will be added to, there are 3 alternates that can be set for a course that allows for alternates. So when I do this process here, if a student already has 2 alternates for course 118, 350 will be added to the 3rd slot. If a student already has 3 alternates for course 118, the course 350 will not be added to that student. If the student already has, as a request, course 350, it will not be added as an alternate. And if a student has another course request that has alternates and they've already chosen course 350 as an alternate for that other course, it will not add it for course 118. And again, like with any of the other operations, you can process multiple entries at once. And clicking on the garbage can will remove those other options. Remove alternates. You will choose the course that you want to remove them from. So if I have an intro to tech, and if any of those students who have course 350 as a request and they have course 351 as an alternate, we will remove that as an alternate. Replace alternates. Regardless of which course request the alternate is related to, you can replace one alternate with another, and that's across all students, depending on your student range, who have that original course as an alternate, and it will replace them. And the last option, restore alternates. The purpose of this operation is to undo all scheduled alternates for students in the student range and replace them with the originally requested course. This operation will not drop any course section in which even one student has a grade or skills grade recorded. This operation will not drop any section when the section's term starting date is equal to or earlier than the current date. Because this operation will not drop any course that has already begun or a course that has finished, it will not assign section exit dates. Let's take a look at the last mass editor for study halls. There is no need to run the operation to update student free time records prior to using this operation. That function is performed as part of the mass edit. This operation will not check for any overloads before placing students into a study hall. But when a study hall is configured for a max enrollment equal to 0, students will not be placed. It is assumed that the study hall is not available on that particular day. So again, we have our student range and we have our add study halls. So we're going to click add an entry, and there are our study halls. And study halls, you don't give a request, you actually schedule them into a specific study hall. And the way the course codes go for study halls, Study halls all start with a capital S, and that the two numbers following is the period in which the study hall meets. So I have S01, that's a study hall during period 1. I can see the term, so this study hall meets for the full year. Another note about placing students: the operation will not place a student into a study hall unless the study hall term and the available days can accommodate the student's free time pattern for that period. For example, if a student is free period 1 for the full school year on scheduled days Monday through Friday, and the study hall meets on period 1, but only for a term of semester 1, on scheduled days Monday through Friday, the student will not be placed in the study hall because the student needs a study hall during period 1 that meets for the full year. And then you would, again, you can do multiple entries and remove entries as needed, and then process. Conditionally add will be based on a course that you would select, and you would select the original course. At this point, when you're assigning study halls, your students have already been scheduled into courses, so the only thing that you would be able to select would be the specific section of a course. Remove a study hall is just the opposite of the add study hall, where you would select the study hall and then remove all students from that study hall. Conditionally remove the study hall is the same as conditionally add. You're going to select the original course and then remove those students from a specific study hall. And then we have a replace study halls. Now this one is a little bit different. So we're going to add. There is no condition for which course they are in. And let's see, we'll select S01 and replace with. The only option you are going to get, okay, so there are no students scheduled into S01, so it's not going to let me replace this section with something else because there are no students there. So don't be surprised when you see that. To demonstrate this, I'm going to switch to a different school year because I don't have my students scheduled in my 1920 school year. So let's go to 1819, go, and we're going to do the replace study hall option, and we're going to add an entry, and the original study hall we're going to select. Let's select S01 section 2 and replace with. There we go. So even though I had other options for period 1, because you can see I have section 1, 2, 3, 4. Section 2 is actually a semester 1 study hall. With that one selected, when I do the replace with, the only option I'm going to get is something that is in the same period and the same term. If I had, and I don't know whether I have anybody in this one here, I do. This section 3 is for a full year, so I have all of my options that meet during period 1 and also have a term of year. And then we can process. So now I'll have students in my semester 1. And all of the mass editors will give a result. If there are any errors, like say for if you're adding a course and a student already has that course, you will see that information there. Depending on the error messages that you can get, you can export that to a PDF so that you can print it or use it as a reference to correct items.